Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is an ambitious title heading to PS5 later this year from new studio Sandfall Interactive. However, after playing through a 3-hour PC demo this week, I would have never have guessed that this is the French developer's first project. Expedition 33 is a polished and AAA feeling experience that takes its inspiration from JRPGs but then makes it its own with gripping performances, flashy, addictive combat, and some of the most creative world design I have ever seen. Hello there everyone, it's Aidan from Push Square here with our preview of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now the story is what's going to grab you from the get. In a Belle Epoque inspired France, the ominous paintress paints a lower number each year, and everyone that age fades away to dust. The titular Expedition 33 is made up of those in their last year of life before they are painted out of existence. It's not the first expedition to try and take the paintress down, but hopefully it is the last. Tragedy strikes almost immediately though, as the crew travel to the paintress's home, a twisted landscape made up of sunken buildings, floating rocks, and the littered remains of previous expeditions. What may strike you beyond its visuals, which I will get to, is how dark and serious the story setup is. This is a world drenched in tragedy and death, and very quickly the severity of the situation is established. Even without all of the context of the characters or world, I was struck by some of the story moments early on in the demo. There are moments of levity, but it's the willingness of the game to steep itself in the darkness of its plot that really stood out to me. It's a testament to the writing and world building that without its establishing chapter of the story, I was still locked in and eager to push the narrative forward. I don't want to spoil things too much, to be honest, in this preview, so I'm not going to go into story details here. Of course, there may be spoilers in the footage that I'm showing, but I'm just going to continue now by talking about the game itself. For one, a lot of the immersion that I felt in the story came from the visuals, and it cannot be understated just how impressive they are. Running on Unreal Engine 5, character models are sharp and the backdrops are incredibly detailed. However, it's not just from a resolution perspective that Expedition 33 impresses. The art direction is unlike anything I've ever seen. Of the handful of areas that I explored, each had its own staple within this fantasy world. One saw an ethereal tree take up most of the skyline, whilst the paintress's canvas with the ominous 33 glows from afar. Another was an underwater area with air bubbles floating around, giant sea creatures ambling above, chained up mines scattered across the horizon, and the light refractions through the water giving the whole thing a magical hue. Then there's this level in between which takes a sort of miniature tilt shift style. It's here that you'll travel from one main area to the next. Expedition 33 is made up of several open levels with short deviations from the main path, allowing room for some exploration. From my experience, you're never discovering anything too major beyond a bit of loot or some audio logs, both of which really feed into the experience in succinct ways. Audio logs give us some insight into previous expeditions, which I just lapped up considering the mysterious nature of its setting. Then loot can help build your character, linking into one of the strongest aspects of my time with the demo: combat. The combat in Expedition 33 is turn-based primarily, but Sandfall has incorporated real-time action to spice things up. Players can dodge, parry, and even jump, but the window for success is incredibly narrow. There are also quick time events as you deal more powerful blows, again asking you to really pay attention during combat. Now I am not a big fan of turn-based combat in all honesty, so these tweaks made the system far more engaging for me. Now it is a little easy to become overwhelmed with all of the damage types, the defensive stances and abilities when the game is throwing tutorial after tutorial at you, but after a few hours I started to settle into it quite nicely. Each skill attack required a select amount of points, which could be earned with basic blows or successful parries. Like many games with turn-based systems, lining up each character to boost the other in a devastatingly damaging run for the enemy is incredibly satisfying. And like everything else in Expedition 33, combat is gloriously stylish. Menu designs are spectacular, and the slick animations give each attack a real heft. Even moving around from the different menus felt cool, and I've got to shout out the music too. It's brilliant throughout the whole demo, but is particularly rousing during battles. Now, the build crafting from my short time with the game has got some great potential too. With each new level, you're awarded 3 points to level up aspects like health and strength stats. You then also earn skill points to unlock specific attacks, so you can focus on certain damage types or even healing abilities. Then, you have your weapons that you can discover in your travels, and passive buffs called pictos to amplify those skills even further. By the end of the demo, I had plenty of options, and all of this is applicable to every character in your party too. I imagine I'll spend a lot of time tweaking builds and playing around with abilities when the full game is out, especially since the combat itself is quick paced and great fun. Come the end of the demo, I was eager to play more, but also a little disappointed that I'd had the beginning of the game spoiled by being dropped into the ongoing story. That to me is a sign of great writing, because first and foremost, I just wanted to know more about these characters and the mystery of the Paintress. On top of that, Expedition 33 is just good old fun with snappy and addictive combat, a dense build system, and some of the best looking environments of the year, if not the generation. Now, of course, I did play this on PC, so I do want to know how the whole thing runs on PS5, and I have an inkling that it's going to benefit from the extra juice of the PS5 Pro, so be sure to subscribe to the channel for the full PS5 review when that finally drops. What I have to compliment the most, however, is the balancing act that Sandfall is pulling off to make Expedition 33 a JRPG hybrid. It has all of the hallmarks of the genre, with parties, abilities, turn-based combat, and save the world storylines, but it's doing all of that with a much more nuanced and almost mature approach to its storytelling and characters. Match that up with the real-time combat elements and its top-of-the-line visuals, and you have a game that I think will have a much more Western mainstream appeal than your typical JRPG. Regardless though of whether you're a big fan of JRPGs or not, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game you should be looking out for. Its impeccable art design and high concept premise make it incredibly easy to be drawn into its world. Great character drama and a growing depth to character builds and combat will invest you even further. I may have only scratched the surface with my demo time, but if Sandfall Interactive is able to keep it up over the course of the full game, then I think we could have something truly special on our hands here. Thank you everyone for checking out my preview of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Obviously, I didn't get to play the game on PS5, so it does leave a lot of what-ifs about the console version of the game, but in the meantime, let me know what you're thinking of the game. Does it look like your cup of tea? Maybe not. Let me know down in the comments, and while you're there, remember to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, and until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.